Thank you, Jason. It's really good to be with you all, and I raced to the airport. I left the floor of the house at 2:15, and I made the 3 o'clock plane. And quite frankly, I'd rather be here than there. But it was important to me to be here, because I was thinking about this on the plane. I've been in the Congress for 5 years at the end of this month or the beginning of January. And for the first 4 years, I went to meetings that everybody was yelling at each other, and nobody had answers to questions. And it didn't seem to me like any progress was being made, except that Gelman was winning, because everybody, quite frankly, Gelman reminds me of Donald Trump. I'll probably get in trouble for this. They like to pit people against each other instead of getting an answer. And this group I want to commend everybody here for working together, for trying to have public meetings, trying to seek answers, and to get a solution. I'm not a party to the lawsuit. I don't know what's happening, and I don't, like most of the people out there, I don't know what's happening, and I do believe, well, maybe I'll say this at the end. I feel like 1,000 conversations in the last few weeks, many with the people at this table. And I hear the same questions over and over again. And I don't want to be the person that translate for EPA, I ask EPA your questions and then be the one that gives you the answers. I don't want to be the one that talks to Eagle and then tell you or translate or be held accountable for either what EPA or Eagle says. And the Attorney General's office is also a very significant player in this, because they are the party to the lawsuit. So I've had multiple conversations with EPA over the last few months, asking questions. And I had been hoping to get EPA and Eagle and the Attorney General to this meeting. But in case anyone hasn't noticed, at the federal level and the state level, there seems to be a little, I'm going to use the word chaos, as we're looking at budgets and well, EPA is not part of the impeachment, but I know that worries many of you. So I've talked to the Regional 5 Director and to senior leadership at EPA. I've talked to Liesl, who's the head of Eagle, multiple times in the last few weeks, and I've talked to the Attorney General. I don't think I see her. We talk about Gelman frequently about what's the right thing to do, and we all want to stay on the same page. So they have all agreed to come and to be at the same meeting and to answer your questions. So I didn't think anybody was going to want, and Liesl and all, Eagle has really been tied up in the budget issues, and you wouldn't have had a good meeting tonight if we had tried to. So I didn't think January 2nd was going to be a day that people were going to put their heads on this. I have session on the following Thursday, but January 16th is a Thursday, and that appears to be the best night to bring all of you together. The EPA, Liesl is going to try to come, the Eagle and the attorney, and I don't want to speak for them, but they will all be present. And when I spoke to all of them, I say, I keep hearing the same things over and over, and these are the questions you need to answer. What are the tools that EPA has? What are the tools that the state has? And who has better tools? Or are there better tools? How do you work together? And I do want to remind you all that EPA cannot come in without the state approving or requesting or whatever words you want to use. I talked to EPA again today, also said to them, I get asked this question repeatedly. If EPA comes in, how long is it? People don't trust EPA. Now, I'm going to tell you that I'll be careful, I'm not going to be political tonight about this administration, but if you talk to the environmentalist community, to other people that have worked, the Superfund program is the one program under this administration that people, even some of the lawyers in the room, who I won't name by name, know that I'm not saying that EPA does. I've spent all week fighting PFAS, and I haven't given up. We're now fighting for appropriations bill PFAS regulation. But EPA, but I want them to answer. How long will it take? What have they done, what have they studied on this site? Now they're gonna have, we've lost a year. You know, here's the reality, that so EPA sent somebody in, they did an assessment for the year. I've just said to them, people are worried that what if you ask EPA to come in and they don't designate it as a site? I'm not gonna answer that question, but I get answers that make me think EPA does think this is a site that needs to be paid attention to. But I want them to answer that question directly for you. How long will it take? Well, now I do know that they're gonna not be able to come in immediately. I mean, coming in immediately isn't the right way to say it. They have to bring their investigation and the work up to speed again. So quite frankly, as Michael said to me today, who was the EPA person, we've been gone a year. We're gonna have to make up a year's time as you look at it. But I've given them all of the questions and they're prepared to answer them. I've shared those questions with the state. Liesl knows that those are your questions, and I've said to the Attorney General, you've got to interpret this for all of us, because you're in the room and the rest of us who just want to get the problem solved aren't. I do think transparency is very important. Even when I was talking to the head of Eagle, she said to me, part of the problem is nobody knows what you're talking about. And that includes me. So I don't know I can't look at you all and tell you what the terms are. And she agreed that transparency and getting the issues out as quickly as we can is important. That she called over to make some calls, and that's when I heard the judge had canceled the November session. I didn't know this because you guys aren't allowed to talk to us, so that the judge canceled the November session. And she lit a fire under the AG's office that, you know, things have got to speed it up, because everybody agrees that the public's got a right to know. They need to understand. And if it's a good deal, why aren't you sharing it? So I'm trying to be neutral and keep everybody together, so I'm not saying how I feel, but I do know it's been 40 years. And we got to keep moving to get a plan that cleans up this site. So